Pacific nations are some of those most concerned about climate change, in particular if it results in sea levels rising enough to mean they can't live where they currently do. There's a solution for Tuvalu now, that is to move to Australia. Joining me now live is Assistant Climate Change and Energy Minister Jenny McAllister. Thanks for your time. Look, this is described as a sort of worst case, but I guess that's where we have to deal with. It's interesting because Tuvalu's only got 11,000 people, so we can do that, but are other Pacific nations saying, well, do we get this deal as well?
So we've signed a really important agreement with Tuvalu, and the Prime Minister did that in the context of the Pacific Island Forum last week. And it's referred to as the Whalapili Agreement, and Whalapili is a Tuvaluan word that refers to good neighbours and mutual respect. And it's a consequence of the Tuvalu government approaching Australia and looking for closer cooperation on their attempts to manage climate and more broadly to elevate the national partnership between our two countries. Actually, the treaty has three limbs. The first is cooperation on responses to climate change. The second is security arrangements, and the third is human mobility with dignity. So it's actually broader than, I suppose, the arrangements you propose. We've made it really clear that we're open to discussions with all of our Pacific family. These are really important relationships for Australia. Our regional context is, of course, really significant for us from a national security perspective as well. And so this isn't a specific agreement with Tuvalu. We'll enter into other agreements with other nations as those opportunities
We've already
arise.
got sort of a soaring migration program as well, though. I mean, that'd have to be limited by population, wouldn't it? Tuvalu, in that sense, is the easier one. Bigger sized countries won't be that simple, will it?
This is a response to a very specific proposal from Tuvalu, and it establishes a special migration pathway for Tuvaluan citizens. It's capped at 280 people per year. And that will provide those citizens an opportunity to come to Australia, live, study, connect with family. It's a really important feature of the relationship with Tuvalu and an elevation of the bilateral relationship between our two countries.
You've been talking about a renovation revolution, and I don't think it's because you've been watching The Block or anything like that. It's about energy efficiency. It's an interesting one because you note most houses in Australia were built before energy efficiency standards, but we're also really tight on building homes, having enough homes. Do we have the sort of slack in the economy within this skilled area to have the renovation revolution you talk about, to actually bring down power use?
We know we've got to build up the ecosystem of suppliers around these renovation questions, and that's part of the thinking around the way the government is designing these programs. This week we announced an opportunity to work with the ACT government to start to upgrade some of their social housing and public housing. Most of the dwellings in the public housing stock were built before there were minimum energy performance standards, and it means that there are actually really often poorly performing homes.
It's expensive, it means the grid's under more stress, all those sort of things. But the worker issue, I mean, we can't do this overnight, really, can we?
No, and indeed the programs that we've established operate over years so as to allow us to step through these changes and to build up the workforce and the supply chain as we need to.
Okay. We've just had migration laws pass the lower house. They'll be off to the Senate next. The new laws that were needed to deal with this High Court decision, it appears they were not drafted and ready to go. Took the government by surprise, this sudden crisis where it should have been anticipated?
So the High Court has made a decision, or made orders that required, that made a significant change to our understanding of the law around detention. We have taken the necessary steps.
Okay, we've got the bells ringing in the Senate now, so we'll let you shoot off. Something's happening and you're required.
I am.
Talk next week. Just make sure you grab, I think, your microphone on the corner there. Beautiful. Thank you. All right, that's live television. Jenny McAllister. Talk next week.